Now, to shed more light on this, we are being joined by Ayo Johnson, an African Affairs Specialist from London. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV. Now, this question has been already discussed in different news outlets, but we want to know your opinion about it, and that's why Ghana? Why not Kenya, Obama's ancestral land, or Nigeria, the biggest oil producer in Africa?
Very much so. That is the key question. I think it stems from the fact that Ghana clearly has been identified as the blue-eyed boy of West Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa, clearly for their democratic credentials, the fact that they've had recent elections which were not marred by any form of irregularities, especially on the fact that they've been attracting a lot of foreign direct investments, and the economy as a whole has been reasonably growing. But it sends a lot of Africans are quite upset because Nigeria is a populous country. They should have deserved it so. And of course, South Africa clearly a massive powerhouse, and they've been sidelined. So it's a lot of brownie points for Ghana on this one. But it also gives Ghana the opportunity, especially as Ghana has recently found oil on their shores. As we know, naturally, the Chinese have had a lot of influence on the African continent. And I'm sure Obama and the United States of America would like to steal a march on them and to be able to claim back some of those minerals, or to be able to help dig them out or drill them out of the soil. So I think it's in keeping with that, but more so about the Africans. Obama is very, very, very clued on Africa having AFRICOM, which is a military base, which would allow Americans to train Africans to be able to protect Africa from terrorism and to protect Africa in case of any wars. So it's a combined effort and agenda that Obama is pushing on the African continent currently.
And you mentioned Africa's resources. Now, some analysts believe that the U.S. is following its main interest again now in Africa, and that's oil. And Nigeria's oil is being exploited by the Dutch and the British, but Ghana's oil is still untouched. Besides, Ghana is rich in other mineral resources too. Do you see any truth about this speculation?
Well, it's something that's going to be bantered around. There's no doubt about that. Only over time would we be able to know exactly what the true intentions are of all the key players. But it would not surprise me for us to see American companies drilling the oil in Ghana. Again, naturally, the Chinese, who've got huge influence on the African soil, would want to get their hands on it as well. And also, I think Ghana is showing developmentally, that they are clearly a country that's aspiring and wanting to achieve that much more. But I think a lot of other African countries are feeling the pinch. They, make no mistakes about it. For all this visit that Obama has done today, large numbers of Africans are still going to be poor. Large numbers of Africans are still going to go home to bed tonight without any food. So it just gives you some perspective of the enormous challenges that Africa faces, and more so the opportunity that Obama is trying to bring to it. I'm not sure how it will all pan out over time.
Now, moving on to China's booming presence in Africa, would this mean that President Obama will have less leverage to advance U.S. interests there? I mean, China has been buying African resources, breaking into industries. Can the U.S. rival China's new clout?
Well, they're going to find it extremely difficult to do so. What China has done, and they've done it quite brilliantly, is that they've been able to build agricultural sectors, build infrastructure in terms of rail, roads, bridges, and in exchange for that, large numbers of Africans and their countries have been able to open up and attract and invite them to partake in their minerals. Now, the question is, what is the package that the United States would be offering? So I think it would be good to see if Africans are going to have a choice between a China or a United States or even a Europe, then I think it puts Africa in a slightly better position. At least they can compete, they can choose between who can actually benefit themselves and benefit the people. So over time, we'll be able to see exactly who's going to get all these minerals, who's going to benefit, whether China would lose out, and to what extent would the United States want to make a stance on Africa, and they are pushing hard. There's no doubt about that. They've identified that the the African continent is very, very useful. They've identified that it's in a strategic position, and they've identified that in the future, Africa would become a powerhouse, and they want to get in on the act very quickly. They've realized that they're behind time. China has stolen that lead.
African Affairs Specialist Ayo Johnson speaking to us from London. There are many thanks for your insight here on Press TV.